The 20th of April, 1900, Volume 3. The Cross gives us the features and the likeness of Jesus. My adorable Jesus continues to come, but just a little, like a shadow, and even when he comes, he does not say anything. This morning, after he renewed in me the pains of the cross as many as 2 times, looking at me with tenderness while I was suffering the spasm of the piercings of the nails, he told me. The cross is a mirror in which the soul admires the divinity, and by reflecting herself in it, she acquires the features and the likeness which most resembles God. The cross must not only be loved and desired, but one must consider it an honour and a glory. This is to operate as God and to become like God by participation, because I alone gloried in the cross and considered suffering an honour, and I loved it so much that in my whole life I did not want to be one moment without the cross. Who can say what I understood about the cross from this speaking of blessed Jesus? But I feel mute in expressing it with words. Ah, Lord, I pray you to keep me always nailed to the cross, so that having this divine mirror ever before me, I may clean all my stains and embellish myself ever more in your likeness. End of the reading. The 20th of April, 1905, Volume 6. In these times, humanity is like a bone out of place. How to know whether the soul has dominated her passions. As I was in my usual state, blessed Jesus came for just a little, almost in the act of chastising the people, and he told me, "My daughter, creatures lacerate my flesh. They trample upon my blood continuously, and I will permit that their flesh be lacerated and their blood dispersed. In these times, humanity is like a bone out of place, out of its centre, and in order to put it in place again and make it re-enter into its centre, it is necessary that it be undone." Then calming himself a little, he added, "My daughter, the soul can know whether she has dominated her passions if, touched by temptations or by people, she takes it into no consideration. For example, she is tempted to impurity. If she has dominated this passion, the soul takes it into no consideration, and her very nature remains in its place. If, on the other hand, she hasn't, the soul becomes annoyed. She afflicts herself and feels a rotten stream flow within her body. Or one person mortifies or insults someone else. If this one has dominated the passion of pride, she remains at peace. If, on the other hand, she hasn't, she feels a stream of fire, of indignation, of pride within herself, which turns her completely upside down. In fact, when the passion is there, at the occasion, it comes out into the field, and so with all the rest." End of the reading. The 20th of April, 1912, Volume 11. Human flavours do not satisfy the hunger for divine and eternal happiness, and Jesus embitters them in order to be able to give his divine flavours. Continuing in my usual state, as soon as blessed Jesus came, he told me, "My daughter, nature tends toward happiness with an irresistible force, but with reason. It was made to be happy with a divine and eternal happiness, but with great detriment for themselves. Some get attached to one flavour, some to 2 flavours, some others to 3, and others to 4, but they still remain unsatisfied and cannot find the true taste, causing emptiness within themselves and remaining embittered bothered, and nauseated. It happens that for the human inclination, even the flavours of what is good and holy have within themselves something human with which they get mixed, so they don't have the strength to completely absorb and overwhelm the nature in the divine flavour. This happens even more because when I want to accomplish my divine works in the souls, I keep embittering all that is human in their satisfactions to be able to give them my flavours, which being innumerable, have the strength to absorb all the nature in the divine taste. Can anyone give greater love than this? In order to give more to the souls, I take away the little from them. Or better, in order to give them everything, I take away the nothing. Yet this work of mine is received badly by the creatures. End of the reading. The 20th of April, 1923, Volume 15. God does his greatest works in virgin and unknown souls. I was thinking over what has been said above, and my poor mind was swimming in the sea of the divine will. I felt as though drowned in it. In many things I lack the words. In others, since they are many, I am unable to keep the order, and it seems to me that I put them on paper disconnected. But it seems that Jesus bears with me. It is enough that I write them. And if I don't, he reproaches me, saying, Mind this, these are not things that must serve you alone, but must serve others too. Now I was thinking to myself, if Jesus loves so much that this way of living in the divine will be known, since it will be a new era which will bring so much good as to surpass the very goods of his redemption, he could have spoken to the Pope, who, as the head of the Church, having the authority, could immediately influence the members of the whole Church by making known this celestial doctrine and by bringing this great good to the human generations. Or he could have spoken to some authoritative people. To them it would be easier. But how can I, poor ignorant one, and unknown, make this great good known? And Jesus, sighing and pressing me more tightly to himself, told me, Daughter, so very dear to my supreme volition, it is my usual way to do my greatest works in virgin and unknown souls, and not only virgin by nature, but virgin in their affections, hearts, and thoughts, because true virginity is the divine shadow, and only in my shadow can I fecundate my greatest works. During the times in which I came to redeem, there were also pontiffs and authorities, but I did not go to them, because my shadow was not there. Therefore I chose a virgin, unknown to all, but well known to me. And if true virginity is my shadow, it was divine jealousy that, choosing her unknown, wanting her all for myself, kept her unknown to all others. But even though this celestial virgin was unknown, I made myself known by making my way to make redemption known to all. The greater the work I want to do, the more I cover the soul with the appearance of the most ordinary things. Now, since the persons you mention are known people, the divine jealousy could not maintain its watch, and the divine shadow, oh, how hard it is to find it. And besides, I choose whomever I please. It is established that two virgins must come to humanity's aid, one for the salvation of man, and the other to make my will reign upon earth, to give man his terrestrial happiness, to unite two wills, the divine and the human, and to make them one, so that the purpose for which man was created may have its complete fulfillment. I myself will take care of making my way to make known what I want. What I most care about is to have the first creature in whom to centralize my volition, and that my will may have life in her on earth as it does in heaven. The rest will come by itself. This is why I always say to you, your flight in my will, because the human will contains weaknesses, passions, miseries, which are veils that prevent one from entering into the divine volition. And if they are grave sins, they are barricades that form between one will and the other. And if my fiat on earth as it is in heaven does not reign upon earth, this is precisely what prevents it from doing so. Therefore, to you it is given to tear these veils, to knock down these barricades, to make all human acts as though one single act, by the power of my will, overwhelming them all and bringing them to the feet of my celestial Father, as though kissed and sealed by his very will. So that in seeing that one creature has covered the whole human family with his will, attracted and pleased, he may let his will descend upon earth through her, making it rain on earth as it does in heaven. End of the reading. The 4th of April 1938, volume 36. How Jesus on the cross still cries to every heart, I thirst. How the true resurrection consists in rising in the divine will. How nothing is denied to one who lives in it. My flight in the divine will continues, and I feel the need to make all that it has done my own, placing there my little love, my loving kisses, my deep adoration, and my thank you for everything it did, everything it suffered, for me and for all. As I reached the point at which my dear Jesus was crucified and lifted on the cross in atrocious agonies and unspeakable pains, with heart-breaking tenderness and compassion, he told me, my good daughter, the pain that most transfixed me on the cross was my ardent thirst. I felt I was burning alive, since all the vital humours had gone out through my wounds, which were burning and wanted to quench like many mouths their terrible thirst. I just couldn't contain myself any more, so I shouted, I thirst. This I thirst remains, and is always in the act of saying, I thirst. I never stop saying it. With my open wounds, with my burnt lips, I am always repeating, I am burning, I thirst. Please give me a little drop of your love to soothe my ardent thirst. In everything the creature does, I keep repeating with my mouth opened and burned, let me drink, I'm burning of thirst. My dislocated and wounded humanity had only one cry, I thirst. Therefore, as the creature walks, I shout to her steps with my dry mouth, give me your steps, done for love of me, to quench my thirst. If she works, I ask for her works, made only for love of me, to cool my burning thirst. If she speaks, I ask for her words. If she thinks, I ask for her thoughts, as many little drops to refresh my ardent thirst. It wasn't just my mouth that was burning, but all of my most holy humanity felt the urgent need of a refreshing bath for the ardent fire of love that burned within me. And since it was for the creatures that I was burning in excruciating pains, only creatures with their love could quench my ardent thirst and give to my humanity a refreshing bath. Now I left this cry, I thirst, inside my will, and I made the commitment to make the creatures hear it over and over again, to move them to compassion for my burning thirst, to give them my bath of love and receive theirs, though being just little drops, to quench my devouring thirst. But who is listening to me? Who has compassion for me? Only the one who lives in my will. All the others play deaf and even increase my thirst with their ingratitude, making me restless and with no hope of refreshment. And not only my I thirst, but all that I did and said in my will is always in the act of saying to my sorrowful mother, Mother, here are your children. I place her at their side as help and guide, to be loved by her children. Every instant she feels her own son close to all the children, Oh, how much she loves them, God not giving them her maternity to make myself loved as she loves me. Not only this, but by offering her maternity, she offers perfection also among creatures, so that they love each other with maternal love, which is a constant, sacrificing, unselfish love. But who receives all this good? Only the one who lives in our fiat feels the maternity of the Queen. She feeds her children with her maternal heart to let them suck and receive the maternity of her love, her sweetness, and all the riches of her maternal heart. My daughter, one who wants to find me, who wants to receive all our goods, and my very mother, must enter our will and remain there. Our will is not only our life, but it forms around us with its immensity our house, in which it keeps all our acts, words, and being always in action. Our things never get out of our will. One who wants it can only live together with it, and then she possesses everything. Nothing is denied. If we give our things to one who is not living in our will, she will neither appreciate them nor love them. She won't feel the right to make them her own, and when things are not possessed, love does not arise, it dies. After this, I continued my round in all that our Lord did on earth, and I stopped in the act of the resurrection. What triumph, what glory! Heaven poured itself on earth to be spectator of such a great glory. My beloved Jesus said, My daughter, in my resurrection, the right was given to creatures to rise again in me to new life. It was the confirmation, the seal of my whole life, my works and my words. If I came on earth, it was to give to each and every one my resurrection as their own, to give them life and make them rise again in my own resurrection. But do you want to know where is the real resurrection of the creature? Not in the end of her days, but while she is still living on earth. One who lives in my will rises again to light and says, My night is over. She rises again in the love of her Creator, so that there is no more cold or snow for her, but the smile of the heavenly spring. She rises again to sanctity that puts in rushed flight all weaknesses, miseries, and passions. She rises again to all that is heaven, and if she looks at the earth, heaven, and sun, she does it to find the works of her Creator, to take the opportunity to narrate to him his glory and his long love story. Therefore, one who lives in my will can say, as the angel said to the holy women on the way to the sepulchre, He is risen, he is not here any more. One who lives in my will can also say, My will is not with me any longer, it is risen again in the fiat. And if the circumstances of life, opportunities, and sufferings surround the creature as if they were looking for her will, she can answer, My will is risen again. It is not in my power anymore. I possess in exchange the divine will, and I want to cover with its light all things around me, circumstances and sufferings, to make them like many divine conquests. The soul who lives in our will finds life in the acts of her Jesus, and as always in this life, she finds our operating, conquering, triumphant will. She gives us so much glory that heaven cannot contain it. Therefore, live always in our will, never leave it, if you want to be our triumph and our glory. End of the reading. There are no more readings today.